The bright screens in the control room cast a blue glow on Dr. Daniel Foster's tired face. He sat alone in the Global Defense Initiative headquarters, watching the world's weapon systems remain perfectly still. It had been 5 years since the last bullet was fired in anger anywhere on Earth. The year was 2157, and humanity had finally done what many thought impossible. They had achieved true peace. The Unity Accord, signed after the devastating resource wars, had united Earth under a single democratic federation. Now, the advanced AI systems that once guided missiles simply watched the stars. Daniel ran his fingers through his graying hair and sipped his cold coffee. At 45, he had spent most of his life studying war, only to end up monitoring peace. The irony made him smile. His job these days was to make sure the defense grid kept working, even though there was nothing to defend against. Another quiet night, Dr. Foster. The soft voice came from Araya, the AI assistant that helped run the facility. Just like every night, Araya, Daniel answered, stretching in his chair. Almost makes you miss the excitement, doesn't it? I do not miss the loss of human life, Araya replied. But I understand the sentiment. Daniel was about to head home when something caught his eye. One of the deep space monitoring stations was picking up an odd pattern. Usually, space signals looked random or followed simple natural patterns. This was different. Araya, can you analyze monitoring station 7's data? Daniel leaned forward, suddenly alert. Processing, Araya said. The signal pattern shows signs of artificial structure, Dr. Foster. It repeats every 47.3 seconds. Daniel's heart began to beat faster. In a peaceful world, this was as close to excitement as he got. He started running more scans, checking other monitoring stations. The pattern was showing up everywhere, hidden in the background noise of space. How long has this been going on? He asked. First traces appeared 3 months ago, Araya answered. The signal strength has increased by 12% since then. Daniel reached for his phone and called the one person he knew would understand the importance of this discovery. Dr. Amanda Hayes answered on the third ring, her voice groggy with sleep. Amanda, it's Dan. I need you to come to the office. We found something. Do you know what time it is? She asked. Trust me, this is worth it. Remember how we always said humanity needed a new purpose? Well, I think we just found one. An hour later, Amanda stood beside Daniel, her dark eyes wide as she looked at the data. As the world's leading expert in pattern recognition, she saw things others missed. This isn't random, she said, pointing to the screen. These patterns, they're too perfect, too structured. Someone made this. Someone not from Earth, Daniel added. The realization hit them both at the same time. After centuries of looking to the stars, after building weapons that could destroy worlds, and then choosing peace instead, humanity had finally found something. Not in war, but in the quiet of peace. Daniel looked at the massive defense systems that circled the Earth, silent guardians with no one to guard against. Maybe all this technology wasn't wasted after all, he said quietly. Should we alert the council? Amanda asked. Daniel nodded. Wake them all up. Every leader, every scientist, everyone who needs to know. He paused, looking at the pattern dancing across his screen. Humanity just got a knock on its door. Within hours, the quiet halls of the Global Defense Initiative buzzed with activity. Scientists, military advisors, and government officials poured in. The world that had fallen into a peaceful slumber was waking up. As Daniel watched them arrive, he felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. Humanity had spent its entire history fighting itself, building bigger weapons, creating better defenses. Then, when they finally found peace, when there was no one left to fight, the universe had decided to answer. Dr. Foster, Araya's voice interrupted his thoughts. The signal's strength just increased by another 3%. Daniel looked up at the stars through the facility's glass roof. For the first time in years, Earth's massive defense network hummed with purpose. Not for war, but for something else. Something bigger. "Well," he said to no one in particular, "I guess we're not alone anymore." Dr. Amanda Hayes hadn't slept in 3 days. Empty coffee cups littered her desk at the Global Defense Initiative headquarters as she stared at the endless stream of data. The alien signal kept getting stronger, and now she could see patterns she had missed before. "It's like they're desperate," she said, pointing to her screen where Daniel Foster stood watching. "See how the message repeats faster now? It's like someone shouting louder and louder, hoping someone will hear." Daniel nodded, his own eyes red from lack of sleep. "But what are they saying?" The room around them had changed in the past week. What was once a quiet monitoring station now buzzed with the world's best scientists. Screens covered every wall, showing different parts of the signal. The peaceful world they knew had become very busy again. "Got something," called out Dr. Eric Powell from his workstation. "The basic pattern matches mathematics. Universal constants. They're using pi and the speed of light to create a foundation for communication." Amanda rushed to his screen, her heart racing. "Of course," she breathed. "Math is the same everywhere in the universe. It's how you talk to someone when you don't share a language." Hour by hour, they began to understand more. The aliens weren't just sending numbers. Hidden in the mathematical patterns were images, then simple concepts, then something that made everyone in the room go quiet. "It's a warning," Amanda said softly. She stood before the World Council 2 days later, her hands shaking slightly as she held her notes. "The message comes from a civilization far older than ours. They're calling themselves the Architects." The council chamber was packed. Leaders from every corner of Earth had gathered to hear what the aliens were saying. The room's ancient wooden walls seemed to lean in, listening. "The Architects say there's something out there," Amanda continued. "Something that destroys entire galaxies. They call it the Void. It doesn't just kill, it erases. Whole civilizations, gone like they never existed." Murmurs filled the chamber. An older council member raised his hand. "Why are they telling us? What do they expect Earth to do about it?" Amanda took a deep breath. "Because we're different. The Architects have watched us for centuries. They saw how we fought our wars, how we built our weapons. And then they saw how we chose peace." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Most advanced civilizations out there gave up fighting long ago. They chose pure peace, pure science. But we kept our weapons. We kept our warriors. We just chose not to use them." The room erupted in discussion. Daniel stepped forward to stand beside Amanda. "The Architects are asking for our help," he said. "They believe our unique history, our knowledge of both war and peace, might be the key to fighting this thing." "Show them," Amanda said quietly. Daniel nodded and pressed a button. The chamber's lights dimmed, and a hologram filled the center of the room. It showed galaxies, countless stars spinning in space. Then, one by one, they began to go dark. Not exploding, not dying, just disappearing. "This is what the Void does," Amanda explained. "The Architects say it's heading toward their home galaxy now. They've spent thousands of years looking for someone, anyone, who might have the strength to fight it. And they found us," Daniel added. "Humanity. The species that learned to live in peace but remembered how to fight." The council chamber went silent. Everyone watched the hologram, saw more galaxies vanish into nothingness. Finally, the council leader stood up. "How long?" she asked. "How long until this void reaches us?" "If nothing stops it," Amanda looked at her datapad. "About 300 years. But it will reach the Architect's galaxy in less than 50. Daniel stepped forward again. "We have a choice to make," he said. "We can stay here in our peaceful corner of space, or we can do what humanity has always done best, stand up and fight for those who need help." The council leader looked around the room, at faces filled with fear and determination. "Dr. Hayes, Dr. Foster," she said firmly, "what do you need?" Amanda smiled for the first time in days. "We need to wake up our ships, all of them. And we need to answer the architect's call." As they left the chamber that night, Daniel looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, an ancient civilization was waiting for humanity's answer. They had spent so long with no one left to fight on Earth. Now the universe itself was calling for warriors. "Ready?" Amanda asked, standing beside him. Daniel nodded. Time to show the universe what humanity can do. Captain Lisa Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, Earth's largest warship. 5 years ago, they had built this ship to fight wars that never came. Now finally, it had a purpose. "All systems ready," Captain, her first officer, Jack Miller, reported. "The new FTL drive is charged and stable." Lisa nodded, trying to hide her nervousness. They were about to make history. The Defender and 5 other ships would be the first human vessels to travel faster than light. The scientists had turned their old weapon systems into something new, drives that could bend space itself. "Status report on the fleet?" she asked. "All ships report ready," Jack said. "The architect's coordinates are locked in." The Defender's bridge hummed with activity. 50 of Earth's best crew members worked at their stations. They had trained for years, preparing for wars that never happened. Now they were heading into real danger. "Message from Earth Command," called out the communications officer. "Dr. Foster wants to speak to the whole fleet." Lisa pressed a button on her chair. Daniel's face appeared on the main screen. He looked tired but excited. "This is Dr. Foster to all ships," he began. "What you're about to see, no human has ever seen before. The architects warned us it would be bad. But you're ready. You're the best Earth has to offer. Good luck, and come back safe." Lisa took a deep breath. "All ships, this is Captain Chen. Activate FTL drives on my mark." She paused, looking at her crew. They were young, eager, trained for a purpose they thought they'd never use. Mark. The stars stretched into lines of light. Lisa's stomach turned as space bent around them. Then, suddenly, they were there. 6 human ships, floating in another star system. "Status," Lisa called out. "All ships present and functional," Jack reported. We're 40 light years from Earth, Captain." The crew cheered, but Lisa held up her hand. Something wasn't right. The system they'd jumped to should have had 9 planets. She could only see 3. "Scan the area," she ordered. "Find out what's missing." The results came in quickly. Where 6 planets should have been, there was nothing. Not destroyed planets, not debris. Just empty space, as if the planets had never existed. "Message from the architect's beacon," the communications officer said, putting it on screen. The message showed pictures and numbers. It told a clear story. The void had passed through this system a year ago. It hadn't just destroyed those planets, it had erased them from existence. "Captain," Jack called out, his voice shaking, "we're picking up something else. Other ships. Hundreds of them." The screen filled with images of alien vessels. They were beautiful, made of crystal and light. But they were all empty, floating dead in space. The architects said others tried to fight. Lisa said quietly, "These must be the ones who failed." They spent 3 days studying the dead ships and the empty spaces where planets should be. Every discovery made the crew more quiet, more serious. They weren't just explorers anymore. They were seeing what happened when peace wasn't enough. On the 4th day, they found something different. A small ship, hidden behind a moon, still had power. Inside, they found recordings. The ship belonged to a race called the Luminary. They had been artists, poets, creators of beautiful things. They had given up weapons thousands of years ago. The recordings showed their last moments. The Luminary had tried to talk to the void, to share their art and poetry with it. The void had erased them anyway. Lisa sent all their findings back to Earth. In her personal message to command, she wrote, "We built these ships for war, but found peace instead. Now I understand why we kept them. Sometimes you need warriors, not just to fight, but to protect. The luminary died because they had no one to fight for them. We won't let that happen again. As the Defender prepared to jump back to Earth, Lisa looked at the dead ships one last time. Humanity had spent so long learning not to fight each other. Now they had found something worth fighting for, the right of peaceful beings to exist. "Take us home," she ordered. "We have work to do." The stars stretched again, and the fleet vanished, leaving behind a graveyard of ships and a promise. Humanity was coming back, not to make war, but to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Commander Robert Wilson stared at the holographic map in Earth's new Space Defense Command Center. Hundreds of dots showed Earth's growing fleet. In just 2 months, they had turned old defense satellites into spaceships and trained thousands of crew members. "Sir," his assistant called out. Captain Chen's fleet just returned from Section 7. They found another pocket. Robert walked closer to the map. These pockets were the biggest surprise they had found. Hidden spaces between normal space, where scared alien races hid from the void. Earth's ships had found 3 of them so far. "Show me," he said. The main screen lit up with images from the Defender. A hole in space opened up, leading to a tiny universe no bigger than Earth's solar system. Inside, ships of crystal and light huddled together. These aliens, the Starborn, had hidden here for 100 years. "They're like the others," Robert said quietly. "Another peaceful race that gave up fighting long ago." The Starborn were the latest discovery, but not the first. Earth's fleet had found dozens of species hiding in these pockets of space. All of them had the same story. They had chosen peace, given up their weapons, and now had no way to fight the void. "Message from Dr. Hayes," an officer called out. "The Starborn want to talk to you, sir." The screen changed, showing a being made of light and crystal. Its voice came through the translator as soft and musical. "Commander of Earth," it said, "we have watched your ships. You still carry weapons. You still know war. Why?" Robert thought carefully before answering. "Because peace isn't just about not fighting. Sometimes it's about being ready to protect others who can't protect themselves." The Starborn was quiet for a moment. "We haven't seen warriors in 1,000 years. Not since the architects still fought. Can you teach us?" That was new. None of the other hidden races had asked for training before. They had been too afraid, too set in their peaceful ways. But the Starborn were different. "Send the message to command," Robert ordered. "We might have just found our first allies." Within days, Earth's ships began working with the Starborn. Human warriors taught them about defense, about protecting themselves. In return, the Starborn shared their advanced science and technology. "Look at this," Dr. Foster said excitedly during the next command meeting. He showed images of human ships being upgraded with Starborn crystal technology. "They're helping us make our weapons stronger, not to destroy, but to defend." More hidden races came forward after that. The Melody people, who sang their ships through space. The Cloud Wavers, who built cities in gas giants. Each brought new knowledge, new technology, and each asked Earth to teach them how to fight. "It's not just about fighting," Robert explained to his officers. "We're teaching them to be protectors like us." Earth learned the hard way that keeping the peace sometimes means being strong enough to defend it. 1 month later, Robert stood on the observation deck of Earth's largest space station. Below him, ships from a dozen alien races trained together. Human vessels flew beside crystal ships and living clouds. They were building something that had never existed before, an army of peaceful races who remembered how to fight. "Commander," his assistant called. The architects sent a new message. "The void, it's changing direction. It's moving faster." Robert watched a group of Starborn ships practice defense formations with Earth vessels. Just 2 months ago, these aliens had been hiding in fear. Now they were learning to stand and fight. "Send word to all fleets," he ordered. "Tell them to speed up the training, and send a message to the architects. He paused, looking at the combined fleet of Earth and alien ships. Tell them we're almost ready. Tell them humanity didn't keep its warriors just for ourselves. We kept them for times like this. As he watched, more ships appeared from the pocket dimensions. More races joining the fight. Earth had spent centuries learning not to fight itself. Now it was teaching the galaxy how to fight for something bigger than any one species, the right to exist in peace. The void wants empty space, Robert said to himself. Instead, it's going to find warriors. Dr. Eric Martins didn't like what he saw in his lab tests. The piece of empty space they had collected, where the void had passed through, wasn't really empty at all. It was worse than empty. Look at this, he said to Amanda Hayes, pointing at his screen. They were in the new Combined Science Center, where humans worked with aliens from 6 different species. It's not just destroying things, it's eating them. Amanda leaned closer to the screen. Eating what exactly? Consciousness itself, Eric said. Thoughts, memories, the very thing that makes living beings alive. He ran his hand through his messy hair, a habit when he was worried. That's why nothing is left behind. It doesn't just kill, it consumes what makes things real. The lab around them was unlike anything on Earth before. Crystal computers from the Starborn sat next to human machines. Cloudweaver energy fields powered everything. All of humanity's old weapons research was being turned into something new. Show me the battle recordings again, Eric asked. Amanda pulled up the videos from the scout ships. The void looked like a dark cloud in space, but darker than anything natural. Stars disappeared when it passed. Not exploding, not dying, just gone. Wait, Eric said suddenly. Play that last part again. The video showed a human scout ship getting too close to the void. The ship's crew had panicked, their fear showing in their vital signs. The void had moved away. It didn't like that, Eric said, getting excited. When the crew was afraid, angry, feeling strong emotions, the void backed off. Amanda's eyes widened. Human consciousness, it's different, isn't it? All these peaceful races, they spent thousands of years calming their minds, becoming pure thought. But humans, we kept our fire, Eric finished. Our strong emotions, our will to fight. The very things these other races gave up. They worked for 3 days straight after that. The Starborn helped them build new sensors to detect the void's presence. The Melody people taught them how their song technology could carry emotions through space. The Cloudweavers showed them how to make weapons that could touch things that weren't quite real. It's ready, Eric told Commander Wilson a week later. He held up what looked like a small silver ball. We call it the Soul Flare. It takes human emotions, our strongest ones, our will to fight and protect, and turns them into energy. Robert picked up the Soul Flare carefully. Will it hurt the void? Better, Eric said. It will make it feel. All the things it's been eating, all the lives it's erased, this will make it experience them. And that's what it can't stand. They tested the weapon on a small piece of void space they had contained. When they activated it, the emptiness screamed, not with sound, but with feeling. The void space didn't just disappear. It changed, became real again. Get me Captain Chen, Robert ordered after seeing the test. Lisa's face appeared on the screen. Her fleet was guarding the front lines, watching the void's approach. Captain, Robert said, we've found its weakness. The void feeds on peaceful, ordered minds. But human consciousness, our emotions, our chaos, our will to fight, it's poison to it. How do we use that? Lisa asked. Eric stepped forward. We've built weapons that channel human emotions, but we need more. We need every ship, every crew member, every human who's willing to fight. Not with hate, but with the will to protect. The architects were right to find us, Amanda added. All these races that chose pure peace, they made themselves perfect food for the void. But humanity kept its fire, its passion. We learned to control it, not eliminate it. And now that's exactly what we need. The next day, ships from Earth carried the new weapons into space. Humans worked with aliens, teaching them how to feel strongly again, how to want to fight, not for destruction, but for protection. The void is 3 weeks away from the Architect's home system, Robert announced to the fleet. It thinks it's hunting peaceful prey. Instead, it's going to find warriors. Not just human warriors, but warriors from every race that remembers how to feel, how to fight, how to protect. Eric watched the ships leave from his lot window. The weapons they carried weren't just human technology anymore. They were human spirit, merged with alien science. The very thing that had once made humanity dangerous. Its powerful emotions and will to fight was now going to help save the galaxy. Ready? Amanda asked him. Eric nodded. Time to show the void what consciousness really is. Admiral Karen Murphy stood on the bridge of the UES Valiant, watching the massive fleet spread out before her. 500 human ships flew alongside crystal vessels of the Starborn, living clouds of the Cloudweavers, and the singing ships of the Melody People. Each ship carried soul flares, the weapons powered by human emotion. The void has entered the Architect system. Her second-in-command, Steve Burton, reported. It's already erased 2 outer planets. Karen nodded grimly. Show me the fleet status. The main screen lit up with green dots, each one a ship ready for battle. The tactical AI systems that Earth had built for wars that never came were now coordinating the largest fleet ever assembled. Message from the Architects, Steve said, putting it on screen. The face of the Architect leader appeared. They looked almost human, but made of golden light. Admiral Murphy, it said, our sensors show the void approaching our homeworld. We have hours, maybe less. We're ready, Karen replied firmly. Today the void learns it's not the only hunter out here. The fleet moved into position. Human crews worked with alien partners, preparing the soul flares. Dr. Martinez had taught them all how to focus their emotions, not anger or hate, but the fierce desire to protect. First contact in 5 minutes, Steve announced. Karen opened a channel to all ships. This is Admiral Murphy. Remember your training. Remember why we fight. Not for glory, not for power, but to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Focus on that feeling. Let it fill the soul flares. The void appeared on their screens. It was massive, bigger than Earth's moon, a patch of nothing that ate reality itself. Stars vanished as it moved, leaving perfect emptiness behind. All ships, battle formations, Karen ordered. Launch first wave of soul flares on my mark. The void sensed them. It turned, like a huge dark cloud shifting in space. For a moment, nothing happened. Then it struck. 3 starborn ships vanished instantly. But this time, something was different. The human crews on nearby ships felt their crewmates' deaths. The soul flares glowed brighter, powered by their grief and determination. Mark, Karen shouted. 1,000 soul flares launched at once. They were beautiful, glowing with blue-white light. Where they hit the void, reality itself seemed to crack. The emptiness filled with color and sound. It's working. Steve yelled. The void, it's pulling back. Karen watched as the massive dark cloud recoiled. The soul flares were forcing it to feel, to experience all the lives it had consumed. And it didn't like that at all. Second wave, prepare to launch, she ordered. Melody People ships, begin your song. The Melody People's ships started to sing. Their music carried human emotions across space, making each soul flare stronger. The Cloudweavers moved in next, their living ships creating paths through the void's darkness. The void is trying to escape, Steve reported. It's never done that before. But the retreat didn't last. The void turned back, larger than before. It struck again, erasing a whole squadron of Earth ships. Karen felt tears in her eyes, but she didn't look away. Channel it, she said to her crew. Channel your grief, your rage, your desire to protect. Feed it into the weapons. The next wave of soul flares hit harder. Where they struck, the emptiness screamed, not with sound, but with feeling. The void was experiencing every emotion, every life it had ever erased. "Admiral," Steve called out, "look!" Where the soul flares had hit, stars were reappearing. Not just images of stars. The real stars were coming back. The void wasn't just being hurt, it was being forced to give back what it had taken. "All ships," Karen ordered, her voice firm. "Final wave. Everything we have. For every life it took, for every world it erased. Make it feel." The combined fleet fired as one. Human emotions, carried by alien technology, struck the void like a tidal wave. The emptiness cracked, filled with light and life. For the first time in history, the void retreated. Not just moved away, but flowed in fear. It had come expecting to find easy prey, peaceful minds to consume. Instead, it found warriors who had kept their fire, their passion, their will to fight. "Damage report," Karen asked quietly. "We lost 67 ships," Steve answered. "But Admiral, look at the scans. 3 of the erased planets are back." The void didn't just retreat. We heard it. We made it give back what it took. Karen looked at the restored stars, at the combined fleet of humans and aliens. They had lost friends today, but they had done what no one else had ever done. They had made the void feel fear. 3 months after the first battle, Dr. Daniel Foster stood in the great hall of the Architect homeworld. Around him, beings from 100 different species gathered for what many called the most important meeting in galaxy's history. The void was wounded but not defeated. It had fled to the space between galaxies, where it was gathering its strength. But something had changed forever. The galaxy had learned it could fight back. "We're ready to begin," Amanda Hayes whispered to him. She looked different now, wearing the formal uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. They had all changed in these past months. The Architect leader stepped onto the central platform, its body glowing with golden light. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," it began, "for too long we hid in fear. We chose pure peace and forgot how to protect ourselves. But humanity showed us another way." Daniel watched as Admiral Murphy and Captain Chen joined them on the platform. Both wore medals from a dozen alien species. Behind them stood Commander Wilson and Dr. Martinez, along with representatives from the Starborn, Cloudweavers, and Melody people. "The void is coming back," the Architect continued. "Our sensors show it growing stronger. But this time, we are ready." The Great Hall's walls became transparent, showing the space around the Architect homeworld. A vast fleet floated there, not just human ships, but vessels from every species that had chosen to fight. "For 10,000 years, we ran and hid," the Architect said. "We thought peace meant giving up all conflict. Humanity taught us that true peace means being strong enough to protect it." Admiral Murphy stepped forward. "Earth spent centuries fighting itself," she said. "We built weapons, trained warriors, prepared for wars that never came. When we finally found peace, we kept our strength, not to make war, but to defend peace." The hall filled with images from the past months. Humans teaching Starborn how to fight. Cloudweavers learning battle tactics. Melody people turning their songs into weapons. Species that had hidden in fear for millennia were learning to stand and fight. "The final battle is coming," Commander Wilson announced. "Our scientists have tracked the void. When it returns, it will be stronger than ever. But so are we." Dr. Martinez activated a hologram showing the new weapons they had built. Soul flares powered by the combined emotions of a dozen species. Ships that could restore erased reality. Shields made of pure consciousness. "We are not fighting for glory," Captain Chen said. "We fight for the right of peaceful beings to exist in peace." That is what humanity learned in all its years of war. The strongest warrior is the one who fights to protect others. The Architect raised its hands. "And so, we propose a new pact. The Galactic Defense Alliance, led by humanity, protectors of peace, teachers of strength." Daniel stepped forward then, feeling the weight of the moment. Earth accepts this honor, he said. We kept our warriors when we found peace. Now we know why. The galaxy needed protectors, and humanity was ready. Images appeared above them. Planets restored, species emerging from hiding, new life growing where the void had left emptiness. The galaxy was healing, and more importantly, it was learning to defend itself. The void thinks it feeds on weakness, Amanda said, but it will find strength instead. Not the strength of hatred or destruction, but the strength of protectors. The strength humanity never forgot. As if answering her words, alarms began to sound. The void had been detected, moving toward the galaxy again. But this time, no one ran. No one hid. All ships, battle stations. Admiral Murphy ordered calmly. This is what we trained for. This is what we built. This is why humanity kept its warriors, to stand here, today, when peace needs protection. The great fleet moved into position. Human ships flew alongside alien vessels, their crews linked by technology and purpose. They had trained together, learned from each other, become stronger together. The void comes to feed on peace, Daniel said, watching the fleet depart. Instead, it will find warriors. Not warriors of destruction, but guardians of peace. That is humanity's gift to the galaxy. As the fleet vanished into faster-than-light travel, Daniel looked at the assembled species. Former enemies, now allies. Former victims, now warriors. All because humanity had shown them that peace didn't mean weakness. They had spent so long with no one left to fight on Earth. Now they had found their true purpose, not to make war, but to protect peace across the stars. The final battle was coming, and the Guardians were ready.